She was telling me, son, I'll be all right. You know, but after I get out of the movie, said, I'll come back up here and see you and all. And she said, no. I said, that's okay. Said, you just go on home and get some rest. And the phone kept ringing downstairs. I got up and I run downstairs and I get it, and it's Vernon on the phone. You need to tell Elvis, and that's as far as he got. You know, he was sobbing. The nurse took the phone, and she said, you need to tell Mr. Presley that his mother's taking a turn for the worse and needs to get up here. I said, look, the nurse called and said, you know, you need to come up here because your mama's gotten a little sicker. And he just threw some shoes on, no socks. I mean, he didn't waste time. He didn't stop for red lights. When he got upstairs, all he had to do is he made around the nurse's desk, and there was a long corridor. And when he made that turn, his daddy was standing outside, and that was it. You know, when they saw each other, he knew. I mean, they just ran to each other and embraced each other. Boy, it was one of the most pitiful things you'll ever see.
Your relationship with Elvis depended very much on how his career was going.
That's true. He would just have low points, and when he had low points, there was nothing that could get him out of it. And I feel that's another reason why Elvis felt the help that he had, you know, with some of the pills would get him out of that. I mean, he went through a lot. He went through an awful lot. A lot was expected of him. A lot of demands were put on him. He didn't know how to deal with it any other way. He really didn't. And he wasn't doing it, he really thought he had it under control.
How did you get yourself to stop taking all the pills?
Because I didn't like the feeling of not being in control. It scared me. Because I was doing things that I wouldn't normally do. Things became exaggerated. Things were much bigger. Problems became much more of a problem. I just didn't like what was happening to me. Plus the two of us taking it, we were like, you know, two different people with each other.
21 days after, it was like a nightmare for them. That, oh my God, this is bigger than we ever expected.
And we couldn't understand why he kept on calling, but still it just didn't seem to register, you know.
Well, then we began to get maybe the idea that things were a little bit further along, more serious than what we had thought about in the past.
Elvis and I communicated really when he left Germany by music. He would send me records like Take Good Care of Her, I'll Save the Last Dance for Me, Hey Paul, I Want to Marry You One Day, Sealed with a Kiss.
It makes me feel a little more like I'm there with her.
I in turn would send him back, I'll Save the Last Dance for You, Soldier Boy, but that's how he communicated, and I would always wait in the mail for my 45 to come in.
Maybe we were too naive at that time, but
this morning, fans from all over the world are preparing to say a final goodbye to Lisa Marie Presley, who died last week after suffering a cardiac arrest. In just days, the only daughter of rock and roll legend Elvis Presley will be remembered during a public memorial service at Graceland, her iconic childhood home in Memphis. After her father's death, Lisa Marie inherited the 8-bedroom mansion, and Graceland soon opened its doors to legions of fans, with more than 20 million visiting so far. In the days since Lisa Marie's death, even more people stopping by to pay their respects. A historic and beloved landmark for so many. But for Lisa Marie, Graceland was home.
And Lisa Marie's memorial service will be held here at Graceland on Sunday. It will be open to the public and live streamed. And after the service, everyone will be invited to join the procession to the meditation garden, which will be her final resting place.
She was either going to be a young mother staying home by herself all the time, or she had to get her own life.
He had just gotten up. I was determined to go in, and believe me, this took everything I possibly could to do. This was the moment I feared. I walked in and said, I have something to tell you. I just remember looking at his face and him sitting there in disbelief. I don't think he believed what I was saying was true. And the first thing he said, is it someone else? Are you leaving me for someone else? There was so much that wasn't said, that I couldn't say. It was me growing. It was my needs. It was a lot of pain, because you have to remember, I still loved him very much. Still do. That was the hardest thing in my entire life, when you love someone and then have to leave them. But I never would have had a life.